Welcome to First Unitarian.
We gather on Sundays to celebrate life, to witness to truth, and to be with each other in life's challenges and joys.
All week long, we're building a community, one connection and one person at a time. We care for each other and our children, we grow our souls, and we transform our world.
We're glad you're here.
Welcome home.
Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Rochester. Good morning. It is so good to be with all of you. And if you are just trickling in here in person, I know it's a surprise, but there are seats in front. There are also seats upstairs in the choir loft. And maybe if you're joining us from home, there are seats wherever you are. Settle in. Get comfy. It is Sunday morning here, and I am the Reverend Sherry Halliday Kwan. I use them and they and she and her pronouns, and I'm the lead minister here. I serve with Reverend AJ, who's our assistant minister, and leading worship with us today, we've got Tommy, and we have a guest preacher. And yeah. Sounds like you might already know her. But for those who don't, the Reverend Jen Crow is the lead minister at the First Universalist Church of Minneapolis. She has just written her first book, Take What You Need. And though it has just come out, I know that there are people here who have already read it. But if you were, front row, making the front row look good, John. That's very good. But if you are not one of those people, but you'd like to know more and you can't get enough at church this morning, at 7 p.m. this evening, we'll have a reading. There'll be books for sale outside after the service, as well as this evening. You can have Reverend Jen sign your book. It's going to be a fabulous event, and I hope that you will join us. It's not just us leading worship. For those of you who have been around for a little bit, you might know that I believe that Sunday morning doesn't happen without all of us, and that all of you are helping us lead worship. So this isn't the first time I will need help today, and I am definitely doing that thing where, because I'm not the one preaching, but I'm the lead minister, I'm going to talk a little too long right here at the beginning. So you're all going to help me get through this, and we are going to say our mission together. There are three main parts, and it starts with through spiritual connection in community. And if you're at home, I want you to say that really loud. Yep, nailed it. Through spiritual connection in community. And I'm gonna have you all repeat this next line. We listen deeply to others and ourselves. We open to wonder and transformation. And we serve together with love and humility. That is why we gather each and every Sunday. That is why we gather to live out a purpose that is greater than any of us alone out in the world. I am so, so grateful to be a part of this congregation. And this is the time of year where we fund ourselves. This is the time of year where we ask our members and friends to give a commitment in our stewardship campaign to help keep this church strong, to help live out our mission. And just in case you were wondering why you come to church, Juanita Steinman's going to share a little bit about why she comes here, what it is that she brings to this community, and what it is that you all bring to her. She's going to come and share that. And while she is coming to us, we're going to wait patiently. Absolutely.
So at one of the stewardship meetings, Sherry asked us why we come to church. And I'd like to think it's like when you take your car in for service. Sometimes you go in and you just need that oil change and the bill's not too much. And sometimes you need a little tinkering. They look under the hood and you need a little more of a fix. And then sometimes you come in and you need that 30,000-mile checkup because your mind and spirit needs a little more fixing. And so that's why I come to church, for my tune-up.
Whether you've come here today just in need of a tune-up or a full overhaul, we are glad that you are here. If you've come here today or you're joining us online and something's weighing heavy on your spirit, you're worried about someone else or something's going on in your life, I invite you to reach out to our pastoral care team. Email them at caring@at Rochester Unitarian. I know our website. We've got a chat chaplain online and here in the lobby if you want to connect with someone today. We all gather here in person on the ancestral land of the Haudenosaunee people, specifically of the Seneca, the keepers of the Western Door. And if you're joining us online outside of Rochester or the Finger Lakes area and you've joined us from another place, I invite you to share wherever it is that you are joining from. If you're here for the first time, I invite you to connect with us at our welcome desk or with our greeters online. And if you're here for the second or first or 10,000th time, I invite you to look around online or here in person and give someone an air high five. All right, everyone, we're gonna keep on doing this. I'm gonna need your help lighting our chalice. I ask you to settle in to this time and place. I'm gonna take a breath. You can too. Please join me in our unison words. May the flame we now kindle inspire us to use our power to heal with love, to help with compassion, to bless with joy, and to seek liberation in the fullness of community.
Now that we're settled in, I invite you to rise in voice, body, and spirit and join me in singing Come, Come, Whoever You Are. We'll sing it a few times in English and then in Spanish. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Now, I know it was snowing this morning, folks, but this is a lively waltz, and we all look frozen. So if you are in this room and you are willing and able, I encourage you to let the music move you. If you are joining us at home, dance like nobody's watching because nobody is. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no care of and of despair. Come, yet again, come. All right, let's try it in Spanish. Ven, ven, qual eres, ven, no te en búsqueda, llamas la vida, la nuestra es la caravana de amor. Ven, otra vez, ven, 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 qual eres, ven, no te en búsqueda, llamas la vida, la nuestra es la caravana de amor. Ven, otra vez, ven. Ven otra vez, ven, ven otra vez, ven. You may be seated.
This is a story about understanding who you are and the potential that lies within you. It's about being willing to let go of who you think you are so that you can become who you are meant to be. Here is the story. Once upon a time, in a land not so far away, there was a kingdom of acorns, nestled at the foot of a grand old oak tree. Can you imagine that grand old tree? It was so big, with branches reaching as wide as the chancel here, and limbs reaching up towards the sky, so high they would touch the ceiling of our sanctuary. Can you see it, little acorns? Now, since the citizens of this acorn kingdom were modern, fully westernized acorns, they went about their life with a purposeful energy. And since they were responsible, enlightened citizens, they engaged in a lot of self-help courses and signed up for a lot of classes. They were determined to learn a lot, to heal their past, to take good care of their little acorn bodies and grow stronger every day so that they could be their very best selves. There were seminars called Getting All You Can Out of Your Shell and Who Would You Be Without Your Nutty Story? There were groups for acorns who had been bruised in their fall from the tree. There were spas for oiling and polishing those shells, and various acornopathic therapies to enhance longevity and well-being. One day, in the midst of this kingdom, there suddenly appeared a gnarly little stranger, apparently dropped out of the blue by a passing bird. Her cap was askew and barely attached, making an immediate negative impression on her fellow acorns. And to make things worse, crouched beneath the mighty oak tree, she stammered out a wild tale. Pointing up at the tree, she said,
"We are that. We are that."
The other acorns thought this was delusional thinking, clearly, and they set out to prove it.
What would it even take to be that?
Well, I don't know exactly, but it has something to do with going deep underground and cracking open your shell.
No way!
That's ridiculous.
That's.
Morbid. What's wrong with you, dude?
Oh, I could not.
The acorns just couldn't believe that they were an oak tree. Despite all the courses they attended and the books that they read, and a stranger telling them who they were at their core, they couldn't envision themselves being anything different than what they were, what they already were. They thought that being an acorn was the end of their story. Hannah McCarty wrote, "It's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you are not." Let's not be like those acorns, so sure that they knew the limits of who they could be. Let us learn from the stranger's message and understand that our potential is so big, it's hard to imagine it. Let us be willing to crack open the shell and get to the core so that we can emerge and say,
We are that.
Say it with me once. We are that. This prayer was written by the Reverend Arif Mondani. And I invite you to settle into this place. You don't yet need to go deep and crack open, but settle in as if you might be ready. We are that. An intuition, a sliver of God consciousness in our hearts, pointing toward a bigger reality. We are that, says a little acorn pointing toward an oak tree. We are that, says Buddha pointing toward the moon. We are that, says Jesus pointing toward a lamp. We are that, said Martin. We are that, said Malcolm. We are that, said Asada. We are that, said Ella. We are that, we are that, we are that, wave upon wave upon wave upon wave. Poets and prophets pointing, agitating, washing over us with waves of love that never forget who we really are, who we could be even in the midst of our endless forgetting. Listen. Listen. Can you hear? Can you feel the waves of love washing over you? Waves of love that remember even now who you are, who we are. Waves of love gently carrying us home. Waves of love gently carrying us home. I invite you to settle into a shared silence as these waves of love gently carry us home. Here in this space, in this sacred hour, here in this ocean of love, compassion, and care, we offer up all the things that we carry in our hearts this day, all the things we would surround in the loving embrace of this congregation. Online, in the chat, and here in person, I invite you to name silently in your heart, written or out loud, spoken into this embrace all that you carry in your heart. Elizabeth? All who are dealing with addiction? For all named aloud, for all written to be witnessed by our gathering, and for all that carried within us, we pray. May the grip of addiction be loosened. May the weight of oppression be lightened. May the truth be told. May joy break through. And may love make every suffering bearable for us all. Again and again and again. Amen and blessed be.
Keep it going.
Is a verb, love is a doing word, fearless on my breath. Gentle impulsion shakes me, makes me lighter, fearless on my breath. Teardrop on the fire, fearless on my breath. The light of the day, black flowers blossom, fearless on my breath. Black flowers blossom, fearless on my breath. Teardrop on the fire, fearless on my
A community is only made up of what we bring to it, what is freely given to it. And so each week, we give an offering from the bounty that we are blessed to receive to sustain the work and witness of Unitarian Universalism here in Rochester. As part of the spiritual practice of generosity, we split this collection with community partners and organizations doing good work in alignment with our values. This week, we are sharing with Rock Acts, or the Rochester Alliance of Communities Transforming Society. This is an interfaith community organizing project of multiracial, interfaith, urban and suburban congregations and groups seeking to train and empower citizens to create systemic change and shape the political, social, and economic decisions that impact their lives. You may give online at rochesterunitarian.org/donate, or by Venmo, or by contributing to the offering baskets that our ushers will be passing around. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the birds, they tell us. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the trees, they tell us. We're here to be lifted in love, to listen to love as a flower raises its face to the sun. We are all one, here to be lifted in grace and love. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the sky, it tells us. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the trees, they tell us. We're here to be lifted in love, to listen to love as the children raise all their faces to the sun. We are all one, here to be lifted in grace and love. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the trees, they tell us. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the seas, they tell us. We're here to be lifted in love, to listen to love as the flower raises its face to the sun. We are all one, here to be lifted in grace and love.
You all, it is so good to be here. It's so good to be here with you in person, to be here with all of you who are joining us online. Thank you for welcoming me back. Thank you, AJ and Sherry, for welcoming me in to this place. It is so good to be here, and so good also to know and trust that this place that I love is in such good hands with you all. And it has been a joy, especially to get to know Sherry over the last couple of years and to trust in her wisdom and vision and care for you all so very much, and to get to call her friend myself. So I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to be here with all of you. And before I launch in, I want to say my kids are here, Henry and Kate, and our good friends over here, and I'm so glad they get to come back and experience this congregation. And unfortunately, my wife Loretta is home sick, and so very sad to be missing this and missing all of you. So if we could just take a minute, I'm sure she's watching, and say, hey, Loretta! We love you, we miss you, we're bringing all the warmth of this community home to you, too. So here's what I want to talk about today. You probably already got a sense of it, but I want to talk about the fact that communities like this, congregations of Unitarian Universalism, and really all the communities of faith and communities that help us become who we really are about that. We are that. Holding the vision of what we can become and who we can be, both as individuals and as a community, and how we can live lives of liberation and joy and belonging. How do we become that? How do we do it? That's what I want to talk about today. And what I have learned from you all, actually, is that the two key ingredients to that are love and change. Love, this unconditional love that is the base of universalism, our universalist part of our faith. Unconditional love that will not let us go, no matter what, that holds a circle wide enough for all of us to be included. That kind of love held right alongside an openness and a willingness to change, to let go, to be transformed, because that is what it is to be alive. Love and change. Those are the things, two really important ones at least, that help us crack open, go deep, and become what we are meant to be, right? So love and change. I learned a whole lot about both of those things by being with you all when I was the associate minister here from 2004 to 2012. I arrived as a brand new baby minister. I don't say baby in the sense that I was too young to be a minister, but that I had a lot to learn. And I was new at this. I wasn't new at life and I wasn't new at growth, but I was new at getting to be a minister with all of you. And you taught me with generous hearts, by letting me in to accompany you, by watching your lives and your spiritual growth. You taught me in so many ways how to be a minister. I remember very clearly, as I've been coming back here, that you all ordained me with this stole here in 2004. That somehow you managed to capture all the images that were part of my calling and my ministry and put them together on this beautiful work of art that now I wear at every installation, ordination, memorial service of my colleagues to remember who I am and to remember that you named and called me as minister. I remember you all throwing I think it was a surprise celebration party for Loretta and I after we got married, well before same-sex marriage was legal. I remember you welcoming my kiddos as they were born, welcoming Henry, welcoming Kate. I remember getting to play a very pregnant Mary at the Christmas Eve service the day before Kate was born. I remember all the ways that you have loved me into being. And you know, love is one of the things that happens in community when we stick with it, when we allow ourselves to make mistakes, to come back together, to hold the community and the circle strong, even when things get disrupted sometimes. This love that will not let us go, the love that takes shape in our congregations and in our communities. So that's a little bit about the kind of love I am talking about. It's the kind that has worked on me over time, kind of wearing down the hard edges like water over rock, softening my heart over time. But I will tell you, you all also taught me about change. You taught me about change as all kinds of things shifted during my time of ministry here. In particular, I remember coming in on Friday mornings and running into the Bi Friars. I don't know if that group still exists. Yes, I see the nods. Good. So many of those folks loved me into being, and they did it by offering feedback, sometimes tough love, I will say, of things that I needed to hear but maybe didn't know I needed to hear, truths about the congregation and what was needed. And I loved coming in on Friday mornings and moving past them, getting their lists together for the day and the work that was about to be done, the donuts, if I remember correctly. And I also remember how I was taught here that to live in hearts that love is not to die. So I remember you all and hold you in my heart, and you live in my heart just like you live in this community. But change, right? So it was early on in my ministry here, and it was late one night. I had been at, I don't know if it was a board meeting or a committee meeting or a finance meeting or something, and it had been kind of a contentious meeting, right? There had been arguing going on, and there was a vision that had been put out about who this church what this church could be, what it might become, how it might need to change in order to welcome the people that were coming now and who would come in the future. And like I said, there was a lot of disagreement in the meeting. And it was tough. And by the time we were leaving, I was exhausted. And I found myself walking out next to a beloved, wise elder of this congregation. And I'll tell you, I was a little skittish. I was a little worried about walking out together because I was sure I was going to get an earful about why are things changing? Why do you have to change things? And I was really in a kind of frustrated place. But instead, as we walked out, this wise elder of the congregation was kind of talking to themselves as we went. And they were saying, I'm a scientist, and science is pretty clear on this. If you're not changing, you're dead. Change is literally part of living. The minute you stop changing, you are dead, period. And this person was kind of just saying that as we walked out, and it lodged in me in a really important way. Change is part of life, literally part of life and living. If we aren't changing, we are dying. Well, even as we're dying, we're changing, but once we stop changing, we are dead. It's over. So change as part of life, as part of our faith communities, held with love, held with care, is what helps us move from here to here, right? Which is who we are meant to be. So I have changed a lot since I was last here, just like you all have changed a lot since I was last here. Part of how I know I have changed with love is because I wrote this book, which many of you know me. I'm kind of a private person about a lot of things, and I say a lot of really personal things in this book. And I say them out loud, and they are spreading out into the world to people I don't even know. And one of the best things about having written this book, that is stories about our house fire, yes, that was almost 6 years ago now, but stories about my life, is that I get to hear the reflection back from people who read the book about what it means to them and what they're experiencing in it. And that only happens because I'm in community, right? And a dear friend from this congregation, actually Reverend Tina, got an early copy of the book and read it and wrote to me and said something that I am holding on tight to. One of the ways I know I have changed. She said that I had rewritten the stories of my life from the perspective of love. That I had rewritten the stories of my life through the perspective of love. What a beautiful gift. To know that that's even possible, to know that that's true, that is the work I have been about for many, many years. Letting go anger, letting go resentment, letting go clutching, grabbing, holding tight, being willing to see from multiple perspectives and let my heart crack open and my perspectives widen and change. To rewrite our stories through the perspective of love. Is there anything else that we should be about? This is what we are meant to be about. To rewrite our stories through the perspective, through the lens of love, living through the lens of love, allowing our hearts to soften, our perspectives to widen. That, I think, is what we are here for. So, I want to let you in on part of how this change started happening in me, because I will say I was working on rewriting my stories through the lens of love when I was here, but I was by no means there. It is something that has happened over time, like I say, like water over rock, softening, softening. And some of how it happened is that someone handed me a piece of writing by Glennon Doyle many years ago now. Some of you might know Glennon Doyle from her recent book, Untamed, but this blog post came to me back from when really the only way to access her writing was through her blog, Momastery. And in this particular post, she is responding to a reader who has written in with a question. And the reader is asking, how will they ever be able to give love to their child when they weren't able to receive love from their parent, when their mother had been unable to love them the way they needed to be loved? How were they ever going to be able to show up for their child now in the way their child needed? And the response goes like this. It's a long reading, so hang in there with me. It's worth it, I promise. Glennon responded like this: "Beloved, this is what I know. Love is a river, and there are times when impediments stop the flow of love. Mental illness, addiction, shame, narcissism, these are boulders that stop the flow. Sometimes there is a miracle. The boulder gets removed. Some families get to experience the removal miracle. Many don't. There is no rhyme or reason to this. No one earns it. Healing isn't a reward for those who love the most. Love is love is love. When the boulder is removed, the water flows again. It's the way of the river, the way of love. We are the river, not the boulder. Your parent, your sister, your friend, the one who hurt you, the one who couldn't love you, they were impeded. The love was there, though. It couldn't get to you. It couldn't get to you, but it was there, gathering power, swirling, festering, vicious in its desperation for release. It was there. It is there, all for you. The parent's love exists. It just couldn't get past the boulder. You can trust me about this, she says, because I have been an impeded river. The boulders of addiction and depression blocked my love, and all my family felt was nothing from me. Nothing but pain and absence. And then I got the removal, and my swirling water flowed again because I was always love. I was always the water, not the boulder. I am so sorry, she writes. You deserved to have the love of your parent delivered to you. You deserved to feel their love. You deserved to be soaked through to the bone with it every day and every night. Please listen. The miracle of grace is that you can give what you have never gotten. The miracle of grace is that you can give what you have never gotten. You can. You don't get your power, your water from your parents' river. You get it directly from God, she says. Your river is strong. Let it flow. No, you are the river. Flow unimpeded. That is what we are made for. That is what we are made for. To be love, to flow unimpeded, to move those boulders out of the river of our lives, out of the river of what our communities can be, so that love can flow freely, so that we can be loved enough to allow change to happen in us, to go deep, to be cracked open, to become what we are made for, love. This is what we are about. It's what our faith communities are about. It's what you're about if you are here, in all the ways you are here. Opening to love, opening to change, opening so that we might be unimpeded rivers. This is what we are meant for. May this be our practice, our work, our joy. May it be so. Amen.
In that spirit of love flowing, I invite you now to rise in voice, body, and spirit and join me in singing Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide
extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. May we flow unimpeded, flow with love, removing boulders from our hearts together, from our communities together, that we might be who we are meant to be, because we are that. Blessed be. Amen.